So what's next for you? Do you have any new designs coming up
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
works in your mind?
I'll have a new pattern. I don't know. This will pertain to a couple hundred people for a verb for keeping warm.
Okay.
It was a fiber club, so that's going to release soon, a new shawl, but it won't be ready for all the other knitters until April.
April.
But
Mhm.
in the meantime, I'll have another pattern coming out this month, maybe two. Fall's my favorite season,
Mhm.
so kind of just like pushing out all my ideas and releasing everything
Right.
so
And you get to pull
everyone
everything
can get.
out and start wearing it, and it doesn't
Yes, yes,
feel
yes,
so
yes.
hot. You can actually knit.
Yeah, yeah. I knit through the summer. I knit with wool all year long, so
Hmm.
fall is a big relief
Yes,
when it comes.
I
And
agree.
also over the summer, I was knitting and finalizing all the details with book one.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
it was a lot of time dealing with the proofs and the editing and the photographies, and I was done with the designs. So I was coming up with new things. So I
Yes.
designed almost all the patterns for. I'm going to do a book two.
Uh-huh.
And so I designed all of those over the summer, and they're being test knit right now. So hopefully I'll have another little booklet ready
Yeah.
in 2, 3 months or so. We'll
That's
see.
exciting.
But
So it could be almost quarterly if you keep up like this.
if I keep up like this,
You're
I don't.
busy bee.
Yeah, right now that's how it's looking. But there's no plans to do something quarterly. But we'll see.
The photography, by the way, is really great. I love how it's very classic. And you'd look at it and you could picture yourself in that photograph.
Oh, great.
Your two, it was friends of yours that did the modeling, right?
Yeah, I took photos of a couple of my friends. I caught them the last minute right before they left for the summer, and they're both dancers,
Oh,
and so
okay.
they're really natural movers. So
Oh,
they would
that's probably why.
change. Yeah, and they're
It was
best.
easy
We're
for
all
them.
best friends, so
Oh, that's
it
exciting.
was really
So it's
comfortable.
comfortable, yeah. They
Yeah.
look really great. You did the photography then yourself?
Yeah, most of it. And my friend Sarah, who helped me manage the project, did some
Hmm.
of the photography as well.
Oh, cool. I have
Hmm.
to ask, your photographs that you take of yourself, those are you taking them, right? I always wonder that when I look at them.
A lot of them, yeah. I'm most people when I see them in person say that I'm a lot taller than they imagine. I'm 6'2", so I
That's
have
what
a
I was
really
shooting
long
from above.
I have a long wingspan. So a lot of the pictures are myself taking, but I'm trying to get friends to help me because there's only so much you can
I
get.
like it. Don't change it. You know what? It's your signature, and every time I see your face on there, and it's from this angle where you can tell you're taking it, and you
Yeah,
get these shots. There's one of you on a bike, and you
yeah,
get these awesome shots. You must have a really good knowing of where to put the camera.
yeah.
You've gotten a lot
Yes,
of practice.
it's my thing. Maybe I'll stick with it.
It's really good. I think it's kind of your signature. Every time I see it, I know it's you. So,
Great.
so knitting. So let's talk about knitting. So why do you knit? How did why did you start? What's it give to you?
Yeah, I started knitting 5, 6 years ago in high school. Some friends my age taught me to knit. I was always doing creative things, singing in choirs. I was always in theater classes and dance classes. So I learned backstage during a musical we were doing, and it was kind of dark, of course, being in the theater. So it wasn't very successful my first attempt, but I picked it back up. Picked it back up later. I got a book and just tried new techniques, tried new things, and taught myself pretty much all the basics. And also with the help of with internet
Oh,
tutorials
well, yeah,
that
of
helped
course.
a lot. And when I really got into knitting when I went to college and found my first local yarn store. I've never been to a yarn store besides Michael's then. So that was kind of a really big
Isn't that an
shift.
experience? Did you
Yeah,
walk in and your mouth dropped?
yeah, I was overwhelmed. The first store I went into wasn't a huge knitting shop, but it was a cozy shop, close knit in Urbana, Illinois, and it's a house converted into a shop.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just it was a house full of yarn and all
yeah.
the colors and the patterns and the books, and so that really inspired me a lot. And I just took off from there and found Ravelry at the same time.
Oh
So
yeah.
of course,
Well, so then that was
yeah,
it. You were
it was
a
yeah,
goner.
it was inspiring. Yeah.
You recently moved to Amsterdam. What's it like knitting in a new place? Are there lots of knitters there?
There's a really nice knitting community here. The first thing I did when I came to Amsterdam, I came here I'm studying choreography at the School for New Dance Development here. So I have classes all day, every day. But the first thing I did when I got here was I was a little overwhelmed. So I just went outside, I got a bike, rode around and found parks. And I just knit in the parks, just kind of, that calmed me down and kind of brought me back home. But I found a knitting group here that meets at a cafe every week, and it's an incredible group. They're all really competent knitters. One of them is the author of Knitting Brioche, I believe, or Color Brioche, Nancy Marchand.
Yes.
And yeah, so there's a lot.
Exciting! She's in your knitting group.
yeah, she goes every week with me, and there's other designers in the group, so it's
so much fun.
The knowledge put together, everyone in this group is pretty remarkable. And there's a couple other guys too, so that always helps.
That's exciting.
Yeah, that's great.
That's really nice.
Really diverse.
Okay, so let's talk bad stuff now. What's been your worst knitting disaster?
Worst knitting disaster. The one that always comes to mind was one of a sweater I worked on in a chunky gauge. Bottom up sweater. I didn't follow a pattern at all, and so I just cast on what I thought I would need. There was no gauge involved, so you can imagine the result. And I never tried it on. I went from the bottom, and for some reason I thought I had too few stitches, so I just started increasing. It's kind of normal at the bottom, but then it just poofed out at the top, and I finished some kind of raglan shaping to the neck, and that could definitely be classified as a disaster. Yeah, a lot of people, maybe they think I share a lot of pictures and I share a lot of projects and designs, and they're all pretty finished, and I think they look crisp and good, but I don't share my knitting disasters on Ravelry.
Well, yeah, I don't think a lot of us do.
No, yeah, but those definitely still happen. Yeah.
Yeah, we want to hear that. Us normal knitters want to hear that successful designers like you still have knitting disasters.
Yeah, I do.
Makes us feel better. All right, so last but not least, if you were to be drinking a cocktail while reading my blog, what would it be?
I'm not a huge cocktail drinker, but my favorite, I would probably be drinking a beer, which I haven't found here. Blue Moon was my favorite back home. It's a Belgian ale. I would probably
my husband would be happy to hear that.
Yeah, I would probably be drinking that, reading your blog while wearing one of my fancy scarves.
One of your fancy shawlettes.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on
Yeah,
Yarn on the House. It was a definite pleasure to have you. You're like knitting celebrity in the knitting world, especially on Ravelry, so yay! We like celebrities, and we hope you come back to visit us again.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Ooh, yeah. It's recording. See the fish in the background?
I have a book. What is it? It is a book. I give you a pencil. Is it a pencil? Yes.